Consider these situations. A female employee is asked to go on a date with her male boss. An employee overhears two other employees joking about a transgender employee's dress. Another employee comments to her coworker that his outfit looks nice. What do you think? Would you say these cases are examples of sexual harassment? Answering yes or no may be more challenging than you think. It is not always clear whether a situation is considered sexual harassment in the workplace or is just not workplace appropriate. That's why it is important to take a look at how sexual harassment is defined and when behaviors cross the line. In this course, we will go through what sexual harassment is and talk about what it actually looks like in the workplace. According to the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, or EEOC, unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical conduct of sexual nature constitutes sexual harassment when this conduct explicitly or implicitly affects an individual's employment, unreasonably interferes with an individual's work performance, or creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. To learn more about how your state defines sexual harassment, click on the corresponding state icon. So what does this actually look like? And when does behavior cross the line enough to become sexual harassment? We're going to look at Will's experience with his coworker, Hannah. Throughout the scenario, we are going to stop and reflect on what is happening in the situation and determine if sexual harassment is taking place. Let's take a look.
Hey, Hannah, how's your day going?
Not too shabby. Just trying to get all of this work done so I can get out of here at a decent hour.
I know how you feel. Hey, I know I asked you before, but do you want to go to the team happy hour tonight? This one is game night. Should be a great time, and I'd really like it if you went with me.
I don't think so. I'm just gonna head home after work. I have a ton of stuff I need to get done around the house.
Okay, well, maybe next time.
See you, Will.
Let's pause the scenario for a moment and consider what we saw. In this situation, Will invited Hannah to their team's happy hour event, and it appears that this is not his first invitation. Is inviting Hannah to a happy hour again considered sexual harassment? Choose the correct answer below, then select Submit. Being invited or inviting another coworker to a company, department, or team event that is open to other employees is not sexual harassment. In this case, there were multiple invitations to different team happy hours. The event is intended to be inclusive. After Hannah declines again, Will sends Hannah a text message attached with a selfie of him and another coworker. Is the photo of Will and the other coworker considered sexual harassment? Choose the correct answer below, then select Submit. The text message containing the selfie of Will and another coworker is not sexual harassment. The photo is not graphic and only shows a couple of coworkers together.
Good morning, Hannah. Missed you at happy hour last night. It was a pretty good time.
I'm glad it was a good time. I can tell by the photo you sent.
Yeah, most of the team was there. It was a blast. Are you going to team happy hour next week?
I don't think so. They always seem a bit loud and wild for me.
Well, if you don't like team night, we could always grab a drink later after you finish up your work. Like a date.
Thanks for asking, but I don't think I want to date coworkers. but I will make it to the next team event. I haven't been to one in a while.
Okay, well, maybe another time.
Let's pause this scenario for a moment and consider what we saw. In this situation, Will asked Hannah out on a date. Is asking Hannah out on a date considered sexual harassment? Choose the correct answer below, then select submit. We just saw Will ask Hannah out. Asking someone out on a date or being asked out on a date, especially for the first occurrence, is not considered sexual harassment. And in this case, Hannah politely declined, which was respected by Will. However, while it may be awkward to ask a coworker out, and maybe even discouraged by company policy, let's see how these two handle it. Let's pause the scenario for a moment and consider what we saw. In this situation, Will asked Hannah out on a date again, then sent her a shirtless selfie from the work gym. Is asking Hannah out on a date for a second time, after Hannah said no the first time, considered sexual harassment? Choose the correct answer below, then it is not considered sexual harassment to ask someone out. However, when someone does and the recipient says no, is continually asked out, and it is unwelcomed or affects one's employment, unreasonably interferes with one's job performance, or creates a hostile, intimidating, or offensive work environment, it is considered sexual harassment.
I need to get a more comfortable chair. Thank you so much.
Is it still considered sexual harassment, even after Will apologizes for asking Hannah out on multiple dates? Choose the correct answer below. Apology or not, it is still considered sexual harassment to continuously ask someone out after he or she continues to say no. This could even include providing gifts or favors in hopes to mull things over or try to persuade someone to change their mind. What about Will texting Hannah a shirtless selfie from their work gym? Choose the correct answer below, then select submit. Texting an unsolicited or unwelcome graphic photo is considered sexual harassment. After Hannah declines another advance from Will, he still continued to make passes at her by texting an inappropriate photo. This is sexual harassment.
This is sexual harassment.
Hannah's case is just one example of sexual harassment. What makes sexual harassment uniquely problematic is the difficulty in recognizing it. As we saw in this example, sexual harassment can take many forms, but in the end, it is unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical harassment of a sexual nature. In some cases, an action may be intended to be a nice gesture, but can be received as sexual harassment, such as starting the morning by telling a coworker he or she looks nice. So, when is a hug just a hug? A first date request just a date request? And an invitation all in good faith? Let's take a moment to look at 5 specific examples of what is and isn't considered sexual harassment. As you go through each scenario, determine if the situation is sexual harassment or not. Julie tells the team she is pregnant. Everyone is really excited for her, and one of her coworkers, Sarah, who has never hugged anyone in the office, hugs her with excitement. Sarah hugging Julie in this instance is not sexual harassment. It is presented as a one-time event. If the hug was unwelcome, Julie is encouraged to say so, and if the behavior continues, then it would be considered sexual harassment. A group of coworkers were walking down the hallway for lunch when Chris brushes up against Aaron. This has happened multiple times, and Chris apologizes every time. Erin has expressed that she feels uncomfortable, yet it still happens. We have all accidentally brushed up or bumped into a coworker or another person. If a coworker accidentally brushes against another coworker one time, then it would not be considered sexual harassment. But since Chris has done it multiple times with interjection from Erin, it is sexual harassment. Two colleagues, Thomas and Tori, spend every lunch break together. They even have a celebrity style name, Tom Tor. They have a relationship in which they talk about everything, and when they hang out on the weekend, they share inappropriate memes with each other. In this case, the two have an established relationship where the behaviors are not unwelcome. However, this could offend other employees if these jokes are told around other coworkers or within the organization, or others see the memes they are sharing, creating a hostile work environment. Margaret comes into work. She has noticed a few times this week that as she glances over to her coworker, William, he is staring at her and looking her up and down. She has become self-conscious but does not say anything because she is so uncomfortable. Paying excessive attention to someone or leering is sexual harassment. In this situation, Margaret needs to reach out to someone she is comfortable talking to, such as a supervisor or human resources, to help her navigate this conversation or initiate action. Tammy is very fashion forward and even is a fashion blogger on Instagram. Every day, she shows her team photos of her new outfits, and she typically gets compliments from around the group, including her male coworkers. Tammy is inviting her colleagues to specifically look at her outfits and provide feedback. If the feedback on Tammy's outfits was unsolicited and directed in an unwelcome way that made Tammy uncomfortable, this could lead into sexual harassment if the feedback continued. These types of offensive conduct constitute sexual harassment when they explicitly or implicitly affect one's employment, unreasonably interferes with one's job performance, or create a hostile, intimidating, or offensive work environment. It also may constitute sexual harassment if the conduct adversely affects the victim's employment and employment decisions. At any rate, it is unlawful to harass a person based on that person's sex or gender. Keep in mind, sexual harassment can occur inside and outside the workplace, during or outside of working hours, through any communicative method. If you witnessed or are subject to unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical harassment of a sexual nature, consult your company's anti-harassment policy or employee handbook. You can also reach out to your human resources department or supervisor.